It's a special World Series edition on today's episode of Baseball King Collectibles. Hi everybody, welcome back to the studio. I am the Baseball King. All you new subscribers out there, thank you for coming, thank you for joining. Another episode today. We're going to focus on the World Series from the late 50s through the 60s, through 1970 more or less. And the MVPs and who won those years, and with newspaper clippings of mostly every single winner. I have the newspaper clippings from every year. I'm going to post those for you as well. Nobody's going to do that for you guys. They'll just tell you who won, blah, 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 and that's it. I'm going to give you all the facts, all the figures, how it happened that day with the newspaper itself. So that's, stay tuned for that. It's going to be exciting, right? Thank all the new subscribers. There's been so many lately. I don't know how to handle it all, other than having to perform for you guys now, which hopefully we give you a good show today. And like I said, it's all about the World Series coming up this week. Yankees, Dodgers once again. It's, everyone says, oh, Yankees, Dodgers again. It's not. It's been 43 years since the last Yankee-Dodger World Series, so it doesn't happen all the time. Stop complaining about the big markets winning all the time. Yankees haven't been in the World Series in 15 years. So it's not about all the big money all the time now. With the playoffs expanded, it's hard to win series after series to get to that World Series now. It's difficult. So anyway, let's take a look back on, let's go all the way back to Brooklyn Dodger days, 1955. And they had trouble beating those Yankees in the 50s. They couldn't beat them from the late 40s to the mid 50s. The Yankees owned the World Series from 49 to 53. They had 5 straight, knocking off the Dodgers several times in there. So even though Bobby Thompson's great home run got the Giants into the World Series that year, they didn't win either that year. So, the Dodgers would have lost that year too. It just wasn't happening for the Dodgers. Every year was wait till next year with the Dodgers. So finally, it was that year. And finally, it was this guy who came through, Johnny Podres, with the big win, Game 7, put the Dodgers over the top with a 2-0 shutout. And that was it. The Dodgers finally broke through in 1955. Here's a little Johnny Podres card for you there, too. I mean, he was just an incredible pitcher for the Dodgers those years, and he stayed with them through the 60s. He was a main cog in their rotation for many years, He was. Next, we have the 56 World Series. Of course, it's the Don Larsen game. Really, that's what the series... It's Don Larsen. They did it all for me. Their perfect game, inscribed and everything. I mean, Don Larsen was the MVP of the 66 World Series. So was Johnny Podres, I believe. So these guys would go down in infamy. Don Larsen, in my opinion, that has to be the greatest pitched game in the history of Major League Baseball. Why is that? I think that because it was in a World Series. So yeah, there's been other perfect games, many perfect games, but that is in a World Series game with the pressure on, Yankees needing a win, and he didn't even know he was pitching to that day. The way it was, Casey Stengel would put a baseball in your shoe, in the locker room. You just put a ball inside your shoe. He walks to his locker, he seen the ball there, he knew he was pitching that day. So you're not even prepared days ahead of time. Like guys now, mentally, they can't talk to nobody for a week. None of that. He just got on the mound and did his thing, and it was it put him into the baseball books. Don Larsen, or otherwise he was just the journeyman pitcher. So, And next series, Bob Turley in the 1958 series, we have Bob Turley. He was the MVP that year as well, as the Yankees beat Milwaukee. They revenged the 57 series. Milwaukee beat them. And Bob Turley was the MVP that year. Let's go to 59. I got some cards here from 59 series. We have the Dodgers versus the White Sox, which the Dodgers won that series too. And how many games was that? I'm not sure. I think it was 7 games, 6 games maybe. Here's all the cards. We'll show you them one at a time, as you can see. I love the World Series card. I think this was the first year they did it. I don't remember any other year before this. Here's Gil Hodges. Nice. And it was just I love the World Series recap cards at the end of in the sets in the 1960s. I thought they were fabulous. Here's when they celebrate the championship, the final card. I always loved the final cards for this championship celebrations. That was really cool, 1960. Now that was a year we all know as the Mazeroski home, of course. Mazeroski. There's the card for that. Mazeroski. Richardson's a hero because he had a big World Series. He was the MVP of the World Series, believe it or not. But there's the Maz, the famous Maz, the Maz card, rounding third, coming home. And here's the Bucks celebrate. I mean, it's just a classic World Series. Yankees were beating them big every game. Every game, the scores were phenomenal. I mean, I don't know if you could, the composite on the records, I'll put it real close. Not too hard to see, but yeah, you get the message. Mazeroski was not the MVP of that World Series. Bobby Richardson was, because Bobby Richardson just was outstanding in that World Series. He just had a series that you couldn't believe. I mean, hits-wise, and 55, 56, he played with the Yankees, but he was the 60 World Series MVP, as he put it. And he has a great autograph, guys. You should, young guys out there today, look at Bobby Richardson's autograph. And he was the 1960 MVP because he just had a phenomenal series. Like I said, the Yankee hitting was just crazy that year. They would just, out-hit the Pirates every game, except for the game they needed to. And it went down to the last ninth inning, and, that was history. All right, we go on to the 61 World Series. We have a couple cards from there, not many. Let's show you a couple from each year. We have this one here. Maris wins it in the ninth. All right, it was against the Reds. Yankees won that in 5 games, I believe. Yeah, it was a 5-game series. And then we have here, Yankees crushed the Reds in the finale, the final game. It was a 5-game series, and here they are celebrating the winners, which I love these cards. Like I said, I love these cards. For what reason? I don't know. They're not worth big value cards. I just like having them in my collection as a kid, and I still do as an adult. Why not? Things don't change just because you get older, right? All right, moving on to the 63 World Series. We have, in Game 3, Maris sparks the rally. That's a nice card, Roger Maris card, because any card with Maris has a little premium. So for World Series cards, this one has a little bit, of course not in this condition, but in mint condition, this has some value. There's Chuck Killer. It's a Grand Slam. I believe that was the first Grand Slam in National League World Series history. Tommy Tresh, he delivered in that game, came through. Billy Pierce, he came through in that game from Game 6 and Game 7. It was Ralph Terry with the Yankees. It came down to the final swing. It was Willie McCovey at the bat, first and second, 2 outs, and he hits a rocket right at Bobby Richardson again. There's Bobby Richardson at the end of the series, and that was the end of it. He hung on to win the series in 62. And in 63, the Yankees are in the series once again. They're in the series. How do they? And they just dominating. Yeah, Mantle, Maris, Howard. The names kept going, even though the big names are gone. DiMaggio's gone. Mantle took over. Ruth and Gehrig were gone. DiMaggio took over. It just continued on for 40 years. All right, Game 1, it was the 63 series, and this was a record-setting performance by Sandy Koufax, striking out 15. This card has some value, not the condition. This one, but I said this card itself could get some big money on it if you have it in mint condition. Gem mint 10, of course. All right, we have Sealing Dank's Doom. This was a 4-game sweep, by the way. So this was a really short series. This was the first World Series I remember watching on TV, coming home as a kid to watch. And they took the 3rd straight. I'm always hoping. There was a hope. I had a hope. Maybe they'll come back, And then the 4th game, there was no chance for the Yankees. And the Dodgers just celebrated. And that was it. It was a quick 4-game sweep. And the Yankees were just, that was it. They couldn't win a World Series. They got back the next year again, though, the Yankees still. As weak as they were weakening, but you couldn't knock them out yet. All right, 64, they were almost knocked out with the famous harmonica with Phil Linz, with Yogi Berra. The Yankees were like 8 games out of first in August. It was a rough time, but they did win that year. Yogi Berra, of course, we don't know what happened to him. But let me take a look at the cards from 65. Cardinals took the opener. And then we got Mel Stoudemire. He wins. He was a rookie that year. Stoudemire came up in the middle of the year, and he was the Yankees' ace by the end of the year. He had a great career. Here's Jim Bouton. The Bulldog, Jim Bouton. He had a good career, too. The hat would fly off his head with every pitch. So, why? Just pin it to your head every pitch. I'm telling you, every pitch. Every pitch. There's the Tigers, Tim McCarver, winning that game for them. And, of course, the Cardinals pulled it out. Wait, before that, we had... This was a very famous card. The Mantle clutch homer card, of course. Mantle didn't play that game. All right? He was hurt and always hurt. Imagine in the World Series... In the World Series, he ain't playing. He needs a day off. All right? Comes out at the bottom of the ninth. Tie game 1-1. Here comes Barney Schultz. Here comes Mickey Mantle. We all know what happens. Boom. Mantle's clutch homer. It's gone. It's out of here. Yankees win. But the Cardinals had the last laugh as they celebrate the 64 World Series. All righty. 65. What happened to 65? No cards. What happened, Tops? You You forgot the cards for 65? What happened? You just say hell with it? I love those cards. And all of a sudden, the 66 sets card, 66 top set, no World Series cards. They knocked it out. And by demand, I guess, they came back in 67. And 67 for the 66 series. And we have Palmer. This was also a full game sweep. Palmer blanks the Dodgers. Blair. I mean, you see, it was an amazing series, that series. 4-game sweep. And they celebrating, of course, with the pie in the face. No champagne back then, no goggles. They celebrated differently back then in those days. And I also have the Mo Drabowski card where he struck out a record in relief. It's autographed. I just couldn't find it quick enough I want to get this video out quick for you guys. We go now to 67, and of course 67. Oh wait, here's the 66-7 card that shows you the champs from 66 celebrated the champs. It's card number 1 from the following year. So the 67 set, card number 1. With the 2 Robbies, and Bauer managed them. And 67 set, it was a nice series. That was a good series, 7-game series. The Red Sox were the Cinderella team, of course, that year. They weren't supposed to be in the World Series, but they did come, they came close to winning that series. It went 7. Here's Yaz. There's Gibson, of course. Bryles, I'm sorry. There's Gibson. And a shutout, of course. I mean, this is what Gibson did. This Gibson was the biggest game pitcher I would say, of all time. You want a big game? I want Gibson pitching. There's Lombard. He won another game. Lombard had a big year that year. Petrocelli had a big year for the Red Sox. And St. Louis wins it, of course. Celebrating with who's right in the middle there. Look who it is. Bob Gibson himself. So, and here's where the cards celebrate in the locker room. Look, it's different. There's champagne going, flowing, but not like it is now. There's a couple of bottles probably that each had, So anyway, we go to 69, and of course the Mets. I didn't pull out all those 69 Met cards. I do have them somewhere. Like I said, I wanted to run this video out to you guys quick. And here's Gibson, by the way. Of course, I have many Gibson autographs, but here's one of them. And I put the Hall of Fame date on there, 81. Now, like I said, you wanted him pitching. I still want him pitching. Even he's not alive. I want Gibson. He'd be my choice. All right, 69. We got, Koosman started out, shuts the door. That was it. Koosman shuts the door. And the Mets win the World Series that year, led by Gil Hodges, of course, was the 69 card. Now, if Gil Hodges taking this photo in 69 spring training knew what was ahead of him that year, he had no idea. The Mets were a losing team. 1968, they lost 100 games. He had no idea the 69 team would turn it around. So, taking this picture in 69, he might have been a little happier if he knew, but, that's the way it goes. And that was the 69 series. And pretty much, guys, that wraps up. I also got another, I had a Whitey Ford card. He was the MVP in 63, I believe. No, 62. I don't remember. But one year he was an MVP. All right. And I have a couple of, let's see what we got here. Sports Illustrated, because it is Yankees Dodgers. I found these just lying around. I don't know how I found them, but we found them. It's the one from 80 is the 78 one. And there you can see Lee Lacy sliding into second, World Series. And this is from the 81 series. I'm sorry, not the 80. This is the 78 series, right? 77 series, I'm sorry. I'm way off. It's Thurman Munson, hell, there you go. Bill Russell and Munson. That's a beautiful cover, right? And that's not my name there, so, I don't know where I bought this from. I bought this secondhand. This one, too. Like I said, the Yankees won both of those World Series in 77 and 78. And we'll continue. 81, the Dodgers rematch. Dodgers pulled out that series. But now we're here back to 2004. And the World Series is coming soon this week. And like I said, before we wrap it up, it's one of our guests in the background. We have some new guests. For you guys who don't know, I do collect celebrity autographs in person. Like I said, everything I get in person. All my autographs are in person. I do not mail away for autographs. I do not through the mail. None of that stuff. In person, I have to see them and they sign it in front of me. I love it. It's just, some people say, it's a waste of time. No, it's enjoyable. It means a lot to me when you interact with the person. I have just thousands of celebrities. So in the background, our singing guys today, we have Jackson Brown, David Lee Roth, Donna Summer, and Daryl Hall. Oh, hey, ladies. Who do we got here, ladies? We have Raquel Welch. Wow. That's a big name from the 60s, 70s guys. And, of course, the Baywatch Beauty, Pamela Anderson, and Carl Yastrzemski, and Eddie Matthews in the way up at deck there. And like I said, it's all collectible stuff. I have all autographs. I got all kinds of stuff, guys, for you newcomers. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Please subscribe. Please come back. Another show's coming up soon, guys, because we don't forget about you on Baseball King Collectibles.